Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
All right, we are here, as Ernie may say, to ignite your brand. And we're with Ernie Harker here. Excited to have him here first time on the show. He's on the Zoomcast and the podcast from Draper, Utah. Welcome today. How are you?
I am doing awesome, Jill. Thanks for having me.
Well, pleasure to have you here. So, Ernie, the name of your company is Ernburn Communications.
Yep.
Great. You are a professional speaker and so much more. Let me have you introduce yourself to start.
That sounds good. Sounds good. I started as an illustrator. So my background is in illustration. You can see, for those people who are watching this, they can see right above here
That
is
plane.
like a little airplane.
Little Top Gun type
illustration.
thing. Yeah.
It's got a little pin-up-y girl right there.
Oh, I can't see that part. Okay.
It's teeny tiny. You can see right there.
Okay,
She's sitting on the wing.
Okay,
She's a little mechanic. She's like a little cute mechanic girl from the World War II era.
Awesome, awesome.
But anyway, I started as an illustrator.
Okay.
I worked for an ad agency, a really big, awesome ad agency in Salt Lake City. And I started my own business. That evolved into graphic design, animation, oh my gosh, website design, and then branding. I landed a fantastic client that we rebranded, turned into like a $3 billion company. And I worked with them for about 15 years. Part of that time was they hired me full time to be their executive director of marketing. And then in that role, I was asked to present on like how we transform this convenience store brand. And I loved presenting. And I'm like, let's do this. And so wrote a book.
Yeah, I want to
do it. So yeah.
Okay, yeah. As an author as well. By the way, what is it called? Your Brand Sucks.
That's right. That's the name of the book. Your Brand Sucks.
Awesome. Wait, hold on. And by the way, we got to establish your website, Ernburn, ERNBURN.com.
That's right.
And any other form of contact for our listeners before we continue?
Man, the best way. I do a lot of content on LinkedIn. So definitely jump on LinkedIn. And there are very few Ernie Harkers in the world. Now, don't look for Bernie Parker. He always gets my dinner reservation.
Just do Does that Ernie happen all Harker. The time? It must.
All the time. All the time. Bernie Parker, table for two. I'm like, that's me.
Good enough. Close enough. Oh my goodness. Well, so excited to have you here. And again, you're here to help those ignite their own brand and really get that kick in the business in their keynote or strategy. And you're also a speaker, author, you name it, you do it. There's so much to you. So let's talk a little bit about what brought you here. Before we get to like the meat and potatoes of the show, I want to know more about you in particular. Where did you grow up? And I know about your marketing career. So tell me a little before this started.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna die. So I grew up in Southeast Idaho, nowhere land, Chubbuck, Idaho.
Okay.
I've got 8 brothers. I'm the middle of 9 boys, no sisters.
My goodness.
So people are now going, okay, this kid is going to grow up dysfunctional or going to change the world. So hope I'm on changing the world part. But so I grew up in this little town in Idaho, and I wanted to, as a kid, I liked to draw. And I love Disney. I wanted to be a Disney animator. I watched The Wonderful World of Disney every Sunday night with like religiously. It was like church to me.
Oh my goodness.
Okay? Yeah. And but as a middle kid of this many boys, it's hard to get a little attention. And so anything that someone notices, you're like, oh my gosh, I got some attention. And so people would notice that I could draw pretty good. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, someone notices me. I'm going to do more drawings, right?
Yeah.
And my mom finally carried out her threat of throwing out the TV. She's like, you kids, you're not doing enough chores or whatever.
I get it.
So out goes the TV, but then in comes this opportunity, this vacuum. Now I love sports, but you don't do sports all day. But that in that vacuum of no TV, no cell phone, I poured myself into drawing. And I want to learn, like, not just draw for fun, but really learn anatomy, and this is me as a 12-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And so I poured myself into that and I became really good. That illustration passion evolved, it kind of led me into the advertising and marketing. I didn't follow my dream of being a Disney animator because
Mm-hmm.
I got kind of recruited to work for an ad agency that showered this emotional praise onto this kid, this young college student who's like, somebody loves me and thinks my art is so
Oh,
cool. I mean, that's where it kind of came from.
okay.
That my little journey.
Beautiful. Well, it's important because we all have our own journeys, and
Mm-hmm.
glad you're here to establish that. It's important to find out who we're speaking to.
Yeah.
And I know you want to talk today a little bit about how to redefine success in a sense, right?
Yeah.
And talk
Yeah.
about the importance of branding. So let's
You bet.
begin.
Jill, you obviously are a high achiever,
Oh,
right?
oh, I'm just a mom with a 6 and 8 year old. That's all I say. But thank you.
Whatever. But you don't get into the position you're at without having goals, without working really hard to reach
Yes.
those goals.
Hmm.
I'm very, very similar. I'm an entrepreneur, author. I'm always chasing. And I'm not sure if it was like part of my growing up of wanting to feel important,
Of course, of course.
but
Everything
like,
comes from our childhood. Our childhood
yeah,
trauma defines us, good
yeah,
and bad. It makes us who
yeah.
we are. We all have a story.
Yep,
Absolutely.
that's our clay that
Yeah.
we get to use
Yeah.
to model. But so I was in the middle of writing my book. By the way, like I've got ADD, and
Don't
like
we
most
all?
hyperactive people, right?
Uh-huh.
So writing a book was like chasing millions of word cats into a paragraph. Like I couldn't write linearly. I had literally, I've got monitors, by the way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 5 monitors here.
Uh-huh.
I have chapters open on each screen. And as I'm writing, an idea comes. And if I don't capture it, it's gone.
You'll forget it. I
Yep.
get, uh-huh.
So I grab it and I start working on this chapter. And then, here's another chapter. And so I'm basically spinning all these
Amazing.
plates.
Uh-huh.
Finally get this book to a point where I can see like literally hundreds of hours herding these word cats. Finally get to a point where I think this is going to actually come together. And I decided now's the time for me to do a little bit of book cover design research.
Oh, that you could
Because,
do easy because you're the
right?
illustrator.
Oh,
Yes.
totally.
By the way, I'm noticing your brand, your logo on your hat and your
Yeah,
shirt, by the way, designed by Ernie
of
himself, I'm
course.
assuming.
Of
Okay,
course.
cool, cool, cool.
So I'm writing this book and doing some research on brand book covers. And I'm on Amazon. I'm just doing image searches and stuff. And I realized, man, there are a ton of books on branding. Now I've read a bunch of them, but the more I was doing this research, the more I realized, that this voice inside my head that I have been challenged with my whole life said, Ernie, does the world really need another book on branding? Like,
Hmm.
no one's gonna buy your book, no one's gonna read it. And then he says, this little voice goes, everything else you've done has been a failure. What makes you think this will be any different?
Oh.
And and I had been thinking a lot about all of my achievements, all of my successes that other people would look at as successes. I always define them as failures because they didn't meet my desired
Your desire,
objective.
your expectations,
Exactly.
your wants, desires.
Yep.
It was for everyone else. And there,
Yep.
yeah.
So
Hmm.
I'm seeing the forest in a view of like failures, right?
Hmm.
And so I fall into this seriously major depression. I stopped writing my book. And one of my colleagues, I was an executive at the time at a convenience store chain that I was working on. And one of the executives noticed that I was not my energetic, effervescent self. And he's like, dude, what is wrong? What, dude, something's wrong. And I
Hmm.
basically projectile vomited all of my failures all over him. And I
Hmm.
listed out my failures. The Ironman I did took me 16 hours instead of 14. And this book did this. And this TV show I did
Hmm.
this. And he's like looking at me like I've got 3 heads. And he
Hmm.
and he says, dude, you get
Wow.
credit for trying.
Uh-huh.
But what's weird is like I've been an athlete a lot of my life. And if you're a highly competitive athlete and somebody tells you, hey, dude, it's just a game. Okay, that is not what you want to
Want to
hear.
hear? No.
No.
Mm-mm.
And that's kind of what I would normally have. You get credit for trying is like this,
Not everyone can win.
right? Not everybody can win. It's like, you know what? Not everybody wins. So just think of yourself as a trier. And I'm like,
You're like,
but what's weird is in that phrase, in that little moment, something clicked in my head. I had been so focused on outcomes that I completely disregarded the process and the effort. And I thought, well, what if, like writing my book, I don't have any control of whether or not it becomes an international bestseller, right? But I have 100% control whether or not I write it.
Yeah.
Right. And I thought, what if I just redefine success to be what I can control? Right. That way I can guarantee success because I have control over it. So I thought, okay, I'm going to create a plan, crush the plan, and then celebrate crushing the plan.
Yeah.
If it doesn't meet my desired outcome, just create a new plan. Crush the new plan. Eventually, you would get whatever outcome you want because you can stick to and crush your plan. And so that new kind of realization helped me
rewiring of your brain.
Totally rewired my brain. I finished my book and I didn't sell bazillions of copies, but I got some really good feedback, and I'm like, okay, success. Now, if I want to sell 1 million copies, I just need to create a plan and then keep on working on that plan and stuff. So it took me out of a sense of living a life of failure with little blips of successes, like blip, I made my goal. But for someone like you and me and a lot of entrepreneurs and businessmen out there, they go, I'm going to reach this goal. So they work like crazy and then they finally reach that goal. And then how long lived is that success? Yeah. It's like blip. And then they go back to finding a new goal and they're failures until they meet the new goal. I'm like, no way. I'm going to live a success every day. And it's been awesome.
Well, you changed your mindset, which is super important. A lot of us don't understand the power and the concept of mindset. So going from a Debbie Downer, right? To all focusing on the negative to if you can really mentally create it, you could do it. And it's positivity. And I am so excited to get to talk to you because I mean, all you do and, well, I can't commend you on anything because I can, but it's not going to be good enough to you. It's only how you perceive it, right? Well, you know how we are, right? Our high achievers, we crave it.
I crave little bits of like, dude, you're awesome. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's
but
like.
Can I just ask, where are your brothers? Where's your family? I mean,
oh my gosh,
God bless your parents for having 9 of you.
Yeah. I think I was supposed to be Valerie. My twin brother was supposed to be big. I think my mom, after like 3 or 4 boys, was going, okay, I have got to have
it has to happen. And she just, oh my goodness.
And it's like, okay, if I have 6 boys, then absolutely there has to be a girl, right? Because she was all about, she grew up in Southeast Idaho in a little tiny place called Shelley, Idaho. I'm telling you, their high school mascot was the russet potato.
Oh my goodness, how cute.
It isn't that, well, so she grew up very homemakery. They did not have money. And so she sewed, she cooked, and she wanted to share that experience, those skills to her children. And she was thinking that she needed to have girls to do that. Okay. She created cooking monsters in my twin brother and I. We still passionately cook. I bake bread probably once or twice a week.
Oh my goodness.
Sourdough bread. I cook. I make cookies. I like making food. I love the kitchen. And my mom instilled in this passion for cooking. I also learned to sew. Like, how many dudes know how to, like, dude, I can put a button on. I can sew a backpack. I remember making my own pair of jeans.
Wow.
So my mom was able to create this or share this passion for her loves to boys. And it didn't require girls. And I didn't have to be called Valerie.
That's awesome. I get it. Oh my goodness.
But they're all over the place. My brothers, you ask, where are my brothers? So it's crazy. My dad was an accountant who worked for the man his whole life, right? Darren has his own business. Sean has his own business. Maurice has his own business. Emil, my twin brother, own business. Ernie, own business. Lance doesn't have his own business. Matthew passed away. Matthew was hit and killed by a drunk driver. So I'm not really happy with drunk drivers. And then Joe owns his own business, and Gary owns, like, we're all entrepreneurs.
Amazing.
And my dad, people ask my dad, how did you create all these entrepreneurs, highly driven entrepreneurs? And my dad he says, I never told them no, and they couldn't do it. And I gave them, if ever they want to do something, I tried everything I could to help them. And my mom was the same way.
That's amazing. That says a
Yep.
lot. It really
Yeah.
does, because not everybody has great parents, great role models in their lives, and that could affect them in the future. And but again, we all have our childhood traumas that bring us to where we are and who we are. And look at you. So now you're here. By the way, is your brother identical or is he fraternal?
Yes, he's an identical, and he is an amazing marriage and family therapist.
Really?
Like, he is so good. And so he lives about 45 minutes north of me.
Mm-hmm.
He typically keeps a beard, like a short beard, because he wants, that the image.
Distinguished.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. I want to be youthful and energetic. So that's part of my brand.
Like, I'm shaving every day. I'm lasering.
That's right. Exactly. But when I go up to it's called Layton, Utah.
Okay.
If I'm up there, like on my way up to see him, I'll go to a grocery store and I'll grab some ice cream for dinner or whatever.
Oh.
And I can't tell you how many times someone comes up to me and says, Emo, thank you for saving my marriage.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm like, I'm not Emo, but I will let him know.
But I'm sure when you were younger, you did the whole, you're so welcome anytime. It was my pleasure, right? That must have been fun.
Yeah,
that must have been
nailed
fun
it.
growing up. Of course.
So it's cool.
Wow. Okay. So we got to talk about your professional career more. Of course, all you doing to help us. And then also, I mean, you are like a serious climber, traveler, like you've done. I'll let you continue. So where did you want to go next?
My gosh.
There's so
much. One of the things I love about podcasts, I honestly, most of the time I get asked questions about like my profession, my skills and stuff like that. And there are other podcasts that have that, but I love talking. When I like listening to podcasts, I want to listen to about like the journey.
Mm-hmm. It's like the climb. It's the Miley Cyrus song. It's not about when you get there. Yeah.
And I've always pursued passions where I can push myself. Like during COVID, like in March, like when things got really shut down and stuff, I'm like, I want to get really, really good in front of the camera, because I'd been directing and I had been on the other side of the camera a little bit. Well, I want to get really good at communicating on camera. And so I started a YouTube channel that teaches kids how to draw. Mm-hmm. And so my son at the time, he was like 10. And the stuff that he liked to watch on YouTube was like super cringy to me.
Oh, yeah. My kids do it now. Mm-hmm.
Kids do that. And so I thought, in order for me to keep someone's attention his age, what would I need to do? And so I turned into, hold on.
Go ahead. This is great. I love it. Wait a sec. Come on. Talk about branding.
Hey kids, this is Sketchy. Let's draw something together. Today we're going to learn how to draw a silly squirrel. Like, it was so stinking fun.
Oh my God, congrats. Wait, I didn't know this part about you either. Wow. So Sketchy is your YouTube name.
Sketch-E. But what was cool is like, I just wanted to develop a property that allowed me to use my illustration skills.
Wow.
And keep people's attention and stuff. But so I did 109 videos.
Oh my goodness.
Each video took me about 5 hours to do. And but I loved it, because I started as an illustrator, and I loved like Bob Beeson was my junior high school teacher, my art teacher. He threw kerosene on my fire that just ignited me, because he had like this, he loved drawing superheroes and cool stuff that I like to do too. And he noticed that I had kind of a skill set and an interest in that. And I thought, can I be a Bob Beeson to some kids? And YouTube allows me that platform to excite and ignite this drawing and imagination in kids. And I think there is nothing better. Like, seriously, all it takes is a pencil. You can afford a pencil.
Yeah.
You can afford a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Not everybody can afford a piano.
True.
Right.
Very
so if you're gonna, if you want to do
yeah.
something, man, you can draw, and it's so cheap to do, and it's so like therapeutically, it helps encourage imaginative thinking, creative thinking in anything you do.
Yeah.
Like, you could be a writer, an attorney, or whatever, but if you can sketch,
Wow.
it increases your ability to see things.
Yeah. Well, I haven't looked you up as sketchy yet, but
Okay.
my son is obsessed with penguins. He's 6. The other day he went to YouTube and he always looking at all these YouTubers, performing their magic illustration of how to draw a penguin. So we sat down, we did a few basic, I'm no artist, neither is he, but so that is a great concept, because I'm like, these people are great. They're sitting there. It's so simple just to show you how to draw, just copy. It's like you're just following everything they do. But but I didn't see any characters like you. That's definitely unique. I'm going to look that up for sure.
You may not want to.
Sketchy?
It's a little cringy.
Are you still doing?
I haven't. So here's something that's kind of cool about this, about branding. I'm gonna kind of like pull it back into branding a little bit. So here I am, a branding expert, having fun as a illustration teacher with this wacky character. And I have, at the end of a year, because I wanted, like, I had been consulting with brand consulting with a YouTube channel that had millions of subscribers.
That could.
And so I'd talk to them occasionally about my channel, get some a little free advice from my channel.
Of course.
And they said, you need to just crank for a year. Don't worry about anything, statistics or anything. Just be consistently putting once a week or so a video up. And so at the end of the year, I did an analysis. And then I did a comparative analysis for other channels that are similar to me. And I found that after 109 videos, I had about 4,000 subscribers. Not terrible, right? But of all my competition, I was 1% of what they were getting.
Wow.
So the person who had, so I did a whole spreadsheet, and there's a tool you can use, you can buy, it's called TubeBuddy. And TubeBuddy gives you the back, the back of the office insights into everybody else's channels, how many views, how many subscribers, how many hours are watched. And my closest competitor to me, with 79, I think, videos produced in the past 8 months, had 400,000 subscribers.
Wow.
And I had 4,000. And I'm thinking, something's broken. Like, am I not appealing? Am I not talented enough? That little voice inside my head.
The failure comes to mind, of course.
And so I decided I could give up and learn nothing, or spend some money on a YouTube expert and get some advice. So Daryl Eves is like a YouTube, like, if you want to know anything about YouTube, Daryl Eves literally wrote the book on it.
Okay.
$780 in 1 hour. So he's expensive. In 10 minutes, he told me what was wrong with my channel. He said, Ernie, it's obvious to me. He says, you have no customer focus. And I was like, what are you talking? You know who I am? I'm a branding expert. You know, right? And he said, well, let's look at your thumbnails. It's super easy to see. And he said, the YouTube algorithm works like this. If an audience, a member of the YouTube community, watches sequential videos of yours, they identify the common character traits of that, the viewer traits of that customer, and then they promote it to similar profiles. Okay. So what you want is a profile to consume sequential videos of yours. Ooh, I like this one. I'm going to watch the next one. And so YouTube goes, there's a hot commodity here. Let's make, because what they want is more people watching it, right?
Yeah,
he said, the problem with yours is your content and your character. Hey guys, let's draw something together. Wacky. Said, that the character is very appealing to a juvenile kid, 6 to 10 years old. Right? The content that they'd want to draw, and can be applied to business too, right? Who's your audience? Who is your customer? The stuff that you sell to that customer needs to be consistent and appealing to that customer, right? He said, you draw a baby chick. It's super cute. Love it. Perfect. The next video you show is how to draw an anime character.
Wow.
That's the next level, right? That's the 14, 15, 16-year-olds. And then you draw a realistic spaceship. Okay. The 6 to 10-year-old is going to be, nope, I can't watch that. And so you're basically switching it up for you're making it very difficult for your audience member that loves your stuff to watch sequential videos. So YouTube does not want to promote your stuff to anybody because nobody's watching sequential stuff.
Wow, you just taught me something, and
oh my gosh,
a lot of listeners do all this, but that's also part of branding and what you
and
do.
here you are. I'm learning, and I still screw up. I'm a branding expert, and I still screw up. But because of that realization, it forced me to choose who my target was.
Wow. And
like one of the things I learned was, okay, if you want to target tweens and teenagers, you really need to know what's going on in the popular media. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, no, too much time, too much effort at this point. You got enough. Yeah. Yep. And by the way, we only have 3 minutes left. I mean, we got a great conversation going, and I know we're going to talk more, but there's so much to what you do. And I love that because you didn't take this time to speak everything about we got your backstory, got to know you on a personal level with your family, with your background. I mean, as an illustrator, which is so important to, I think, get to know someone. And there's always time to talk about exactly what you do and why our listeners and viewers would want to hire you, right?
Yeah, we can do that later.
Yes,
we can talk about that stuff later.
And your books, don't forget, they're on Amazon too. So, okay, hold on. So in our last 2 minutes together, let me just ask you, what do you want to share with everyone to sum up for today? And then I could imagine how you are really on fire on that stage as a speaker.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. If two things, if you're in a organization that hires speakers for entrepreneurs, small businesses, things like that, gotta look me up. Like I light the crowds on fire. The second thing is just follow me on LinkedIn. It's a great way because I post stuff almost every day, little nuggets of branding. I do a brand critique. So follow me on LinkedIn and stay in touch.
Perfect. Well, remind us how we could reach you. First of all, tell us all the forms of contact.
Okay. The easiest way. So obviously LinkedIn, Ernie Harker. There are not very many Ernie Harkers in the world. So you can find me easily there. And then my website is ernburn.com, ERNBURN.com. And then my email address is me@ernburn.com. I love talking to people. You can just send me an email and say, hey, can I just talk to you for 15, 20 minutes? I'll do it. And I'll talk, I'll kind of critique your brand or whatever. It's just my passion, and I make plenty of money as a consultant. I just want to help more people.
Awesome. Ernie, awesome helping people out here the way you do. Ernie Harker, pleasure to speak with you today. Looking forward to our other shows again. And thank you for the backstory. And I can't wait to look up Sketchy. It's Sketchy, right? You said 2 E's?
Sketch-E. Sketch-E. Yep.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
when I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, I mean, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.